saying I did not write that bio. my illustrious, my marketing director did, and that was very sweet of her. I'd like to also start by first thanking Karen Shackle at First American for serving on the Statistical Review Committee and bringing us all here together. And then also, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Jennifer Lemert for helping me with some of these statistics. Jennifer Lemert of Fidelity. So, moving on. Overview. Before I get into what I'm going to discuss, you will notice that I do not have in my presentation any kind of discussion on the red zone and insurance. And that is not because it doesn't matter, it does, but as the red zone continues to shrink, it matters less and less. There are less properties in the red zones, and it becomes less concern, especially as it becomes in the background as we move on. Insurance does matter, so I'm not trying to just gloss over that, but I think as we all know, I can see a lot of faces here that do a lot of business in the market. You know that your buyers, if your buyer has an interest in a property, you get on top of insurance ahead of time so that you can negotiate it into the deal. It certainly is affecting our market, but new policies are being written. It's just a matter of what that policy entails and how much and where the property is. So not to gloss over it, and I'm happy to go into it in deeper detail and how it is affecting the luxury market, but the fact of the matter is that the luxury market is selling regardless of the insurance issue. So moving on. We're going to get into the Montecito stats and key takeaways. We're going to get into the Hope Ranch stats and key takeaways, and I'm going to go through them diligently, but I think what I'd really like to get to is the stories behind the stats that really matter, because anybody can pull these statistics. We all have the same data at our fingertips, and I think that there's some numbers out there that are confusing to consumers and to our buyers, and we need to really we need to be educating them as to what's going on and make it less confusing. And then we'll get into what that means to be a listing agent in the luxury market. In 2020 predictions, we are actually going to save that and have an ensemble cast here with Daniel, myself, and Jordan. I would also like to say that I would agree with 90+% of what Jordan said today in his presentation with regards to how it's affecting what we're seeing in our luxury market. We'll get to that. So, here's some pretty stats. What do they mean? Overall number of sales are up from 2018, but similar to 2015, 2016, and 2017. That's not a surprise since the luxury market vastly consists of Montecito, and so Montecito was shut down, number of sales were down. Strongest sector is the 4 to 6 range, which is up 137% from 2018. The weakest sector is the $0 to $2 million range, logging the same sales as 2018 and significantly lower than 15 and 17. What is also really interesting and why I can help pay the bills is that $10 million+ market in 2019 was also strong, and we hadn't seen as many sales, 10 million+ since 2015. That's what I just read from. You will get a copy of this. Getting into some more pretty graphs and charts, and what do they mean? The end of 2019 saw an overall increase in median pricing. What is also fascinating, and I think that as listing agents we're talking about this, is when is the best time to sell, and typically spring is the busiest season. That usually seems to be the best time to sell, but that's not necessarily what these stats are showing. And I think what we all know, a lot of people think spring is the busiest time, it's historically the busiest time, but Santa Barbara, we have a year-round market, and a lot of that is because it's 70 degrees and sunny in January. People want to be here when it's 5 degrees somewhere else. And what's interesting is that October closings, which are typically the lowest, saw a surge in the last 2 years. And we even saw a really strong December, which was really fascinating that's what Jordan also commented on. Condo market in 19 is slightly up from 18, but still a little bit slower than 16 and 17. Hope Ranch, so this is what I just told you about. Hope Ranch luxury stats. The Hope Ranch surge has ended. And the sales numbers fell back to typical trends. June 2019, with the exception, was the exception with 7 sales. However, and then with the exception of 2018, it's still in line with previous years. Hope Ranch remains a thinner market, less inventory, fewer sales than Montecito overall. Here we're going to get into, not surprising to see the median price is up for many of the months in 2018. The spike in 2019 is due to there have only been, so you see that spike that goes up, and that spike is because there was only 4 sales in January. In 2019, 2 of those sales were over 14 million, so that spikes the median. The stats on price range trends show that what we've always known, which is that the $2 to $4 million market in Hope Ranch is the busiest, with the $4 to $6 million market actually gaining some traction, which is nice to hear. Now I want to get into what I really want to talk about. The stats, the stories that the stats don't necessarily tell. And it's really interesting that Steve talked about the tale of 2 markets. Last year and the previous year, we talked a lot about the tale of 2 markets in Montecito being the red zone market and the non-red zone market. And now more than ever, I think we're talking about a tale of 2 markets being a certain type of product versus another type of product. And there's some trends that we're seeing. 2 different types of sales. Newly updated homes that sell quickly and for top dollar with multiple offers versus dated homes that tend to languish on the market and often appeal to value-driven buyers who have patience and vision. What I'm going to go through are some examples now of properties that sold at what we believe to be premium prices, and kind of run through those numbers as well as some photos so that you can see. So trend number 1 is instant gratification. Done, done, done. Either new construction, which we don't have a lot of, so it's either new construction, newly remodeled, or has a certain look that is on trend today. The point is, buyers don't want to do a darn thing. They want to move right in. So this property on Hot Springs that I'm about to show you, it sold for $12 million, including the furniture. It was off market. It was brand new construction, only 4,900 square feet in the main house with 3 beds, 2.5 baths. It had a first floor master, which we're going to get to shortly with another trend. Pool house, art studio, some ocean views. It did have some road noise from Hot Springs and also a tight motor court. Usually when you get into the 10 million plus segment, buyers expect an approach, they expect privacy, they expect quiet, they expect views, and this had a lot of that, but really what it had was that it was a done house that the buyer could move right into, and she even bought the furniture. This is what it looks like. Another example is 950 Brooktree that sold with multiple offers for $6.7, just under list price, sold in less than a month at that price point. That is very quick. New construction, single level, 5,000 square feet, pool, ocean views, approximately an acre. Again, a very similar look and feel. Single level or first floor master. So not only do buyers want it done and in move-in condition, but they want ease. Even if they're not an older couple and they don't need a first floor master, they're thinking about that long term, and it's simplifying their life, making their life and living in their home as easy as possible. So an example of this, a property on East Valley that sold for $5.81, it was listed for $5,995, it sold in 5 days, newly remodeled, single level, 3,500 square feet. I mean, the price per square foot on these is astronomical. Mountain views, approximately an acre, no pool. There was actually some road noise from East Valley as you got into the yard, and it's on East Valley Road. Good to know, none of these are in the red zone, of course. Another example here that sold for $4.2. The list price was $3.9, sold with multiple offers. 3-bedroom house, newly remodeled. Crystals, I can hear some chattering, yes. The other trend that we're seeing is walkability. Again, this speaks to ease of your life, simplifying life. They want a simpler life, they want to not getting a car every day if they don't have to. And we saw this 440 Coda Lane, sandwiched right between the upper and lower villages, sold for just under asking in 7 days, also newly remodeled. Now this did not have a first floor master, but it did have a first floor bedroom. And then it also had the other elements. This was Nancy and Michael's listing. I should start to give some love to these agents. Another one, he is in the room, Greg Leach's listing on Mesa Road. He priced it just under 4, multiple offers, sold for over 4. You could crawl to the lower village and the beach, single level, newly remodeled, you're getting the drift. Size matters. So, in addition to all of the newly done single level and walkability, people do not want big houses anymore, and they are selling for significantly less price per square foot. Gone are the days that somebody wants a Tuscan villa from Europe. They don't care. They don't care that you imported the beautiful fireplace, and they don't care. This is an example. I chose not to use photos, but 765 Rockbridge. This seller bought the property in 2009 for $25 million. It is now priced at $16.9 and in escrow, set to close, as I understand, in a couple of weeks. I don't see the listing agent here. But again, big house, 18,000 square feet on 7 acres. Nobody wants 18,000 square feet anymore. This is my listing, our listing, so I can chat about it, but there's a lot of value in my opinion. We're on 3.5 acres with 10,000 square foot main house, 3 guest houses. It started at 18.5, it's now at 12.9, been on the market for a lot of days, let's just say that. But again, a lot of house, and these folks painted and staged, and there's a lot of value there, but people don't want that much. 1050 Cold Springs at almost 14,000 square feet. I'm sure all of you know this property by now. It's still sitting on the market at 11,950. It originally came on in 2008 at 35. 1660, I don't know if I should keep going through these. I think I painted the picture pretty clearly. Well, this is a recent closing, so let's just talk about this one. This, it's under 10,000 square feet. This one was 9,400 square feet. I thought this was an amazing buy. I tried to sell it a couple of times. 9,400 square foot main house with big mountain views. It had a guest house, it had a pool cabana, really quietly sat off of the road, beautiful approach. These guys, the sellers paid 17.5 in 2006, and it closed for 9.5. That again is, I don't have any photos here, but if you know the property, it was built in 2006, and it had a heavy Mediterranean 2006 look and feel. Coat of paint would have done it a lot of good, but still. So the listings that sold quickly and for the highest price were all around 6,000 square feet or smaller. That's what the trend is. And what does this all mean if you're listing a property in today's luxury market? Well, first of all, the product is key. And we have a lot of product still that people don't want. So where I'll disagree respectfully with Jordan is on pricing. Just today, I talked with the seller about lowering their price to be perceived as a value in the market, because their product isn't necessarily what everybody wants. And if you don't have the product that everybody wants, then you better be the steal of the century, because otherwise the buyers will sit back and they will wait until you go to auction or until you are the steal. And what we're finding helping some of dealing with the product issue is, and no, I am not sponsored by a painter or a stager, but it's painting and staging. It's key, it's crucial, and if you can't, and we're seeing that, we know that, because our brokerages are all saying, hey, listen, seller, if you don't want to pay for it, we'll pay for it. And short of that, I think what you've seen our firm do a lot of is virtual staging. When you can't get a seller to commit to actually painting the house or staging the house, we're doing it virtually. And that's helping. 43 sales over $5 million this year, and of those 31 were professionally staged. that's of the sales. So it's working. Of the remaining 12, 11 were beautifully furnished with today's modern look and feel. For sellers, there's a clear and replicable strategy that'll attract the widest audience possible. I am going to skip my 2020 predictions because we're going to wait for later. I tried to go quickly so as not to waste your time. I hope that's all right.